welcome back, Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that is under sanction by the UN. I'm Nate. As always, I'm here with Remy, and today I think we're going to start off talking about the big elephant in the room.
Anime?
Well, we'll get to that elephant. I guess there's room for multiple elephants in this room.
There's something else?
Yeah. I was going to say the looming shadow of the media giant that is the new Final Fantasy VII game.
I see. Yes. It's an awkward topic, but somebody's got to talk about it at some point. We've got to broach the Final Fantasy VII discussion somehow.
Well, you know, after the trauma of the last release, the national scar that it left, a lot of people are really apprehensive around this one, but we're here to dispel that fear, I think.
Yeah, I have to say, the reveal that Zack's still alive was my personal 9/11.
Never forget.
Never forget. I'm still not over it. And the fact that they're putting Zack on the front of the box, I find really... It's like rubbing it in my face, you know what I mean? I find it to be very disrespectful.
See, he's on the front of the box now, huh?
It's him, Sephiroth, and Cloud, the triumvirate, right on the front of the fucking box.
Wow. So obviously, I don't know. This is just me. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII in all of its variations.
You've said it so much that I'm starting to think you're setting up a front for some reason. I can't imagine why, but...
I'm setting up the eventual reveal that I've never actually played a Final Fantasy game.
You keep reading the cliff notes. You're like, okay. His name is Cloud? Okay, right.
Where do they come up with these names? What I'm trying to get at is you say it's Cloud, Zack, and Sephiroth on the cover. And
yes, the triumvirate.
Yeah, that's hearkening back
the Narisa
to...
Sakura of Final Fantasy VII.
Sorry, Tifa. Sorry, Aerith.
No, they're fourth stringers. They're fucking Pine Riders.
What I'm trying to get is it seems they're setting up a connection between these three characters and... What was it? What was the PSP game? Crisis Core?
Crisis Core.
With Angeal and Gact as the...
Angeal.
Which is a great name. Love it.
Yeah.
Very, very subtle in its imagery.
Yeah. They had already named a guy Sephiroth, so if they just named the other guy Seraphim, it might have been a little too close. They might not have been able to get away with that one.
So what I'm wondering is...
You could be my Angle or my Devil.
My Angle. Well, first of all, don't cut short the role of Gact in that game. I think he was the carpet that really brought it all together. You got to have pop star references. That's really what draws in the numbers.
Oh, sure.
But I'm wondering if they're going to expand on that whole lore sphere going forward in these games. Because I don't think they're getting fucking 70-year-old Gact back to do more mocap for these.
If Angeal showed up outside of the context of brief flashbacks, I would be very surprised. Because, frankly, he doesn't do very much, even in the game that he's from.
Well, he mostly serves as the tutorial character. He's in the beginning, and he kind of, gives you some expository lore dumps about Zack and about their past.
He teaches Zack how to do squats.
Yeah.
That's the origin of squats.
Well, I mean, squats are a great exercise. It should be part of any standard workout routine.
Zack learned how to use the fucking Buster Sword by squatting.
Well, that is not that hard for me to believe. We grew up in the era where Rurouni Kenshin, where all you need to do to get good at being a sword master is doing repeated overhead strikes.
Yeah, chop wood, carry water. Am I right?
Yeah, wax on, wax off. Karate Kid. I've never seen that
Absolutely.
movie.
Karate Kid.
I've never seen Karate Kid.
I think there might be some weird racial stuff if you go back and watch it today.
Yeah, if I see it with not colored by nostalgia.
Yeah, people really liked that Cobra Kai show. I never watched it, but I kept hearing really good things.
Was that
about
an
it.
official thing? That always felt like, a Hail Mary I don't want to be mean to the guy, but the whole thing is that it's the little kid bully, right?
Yeah.
From Karate Kid.
It is the little kid
and
bully.
it's the same actor, and he's come back and started his own not bully dojo, reformed bully dojo.
I'm not sure if the dojo is for bullies or not. Like I said, I didn't actually go and watch it. I'm pretty sure Ralph Macchio does come back, though, so it is an official sequel.
Wild. I'm still probably not going to watch it.
No, I'm not going to watch it, but I do think it's very funny. If I was ever going to watch a Ted Lasso style show, it would definitely be Cobra Kai instead of Ted Lasso.
Okay, Final Fantasy VII. So we talked about it before on an earlier episode a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned that they were doing a 2-part rollout for the demo.
They did the second part of the demo. Yes.
Okay.
I've never seen a 2-part demo before. I don't think. This truly is some very deranged shit going on. But they introduce the open world in the second part of the demo. So Final Fantasy VII is officially an Assassin's Creed game now. Instead of towers, they are chocobo benches, which is fine.
It's funny. It's funny you draw that comparison as Assassin's Creed as a nebulous open world game when I keep hearing that most recent Assassin's Creed that they just released is much smaller in scope, and people are calling it oh yeah, they made a normal Assassin's Creed again.
Wait, what was the last one? The last one I played was the Viking one.
No, they've made more since then. What is it called? Assassin's Creed Mirage is not an open world game. It's just a normal ass Assassin's Creed where you go, you go through the story. It's 11 hours long.
Wow. That's they did those, but they were mobile games before. Frankly, I don't know why you'd want to do that, because they were really on a roll when they were doing shit like Leonardo da Vinci was the guy who sold you weapons and shit. That is the good Assassin's Creed
cool.
stuff. It's so fucking cool.
I mean, that's pretty dumb, but they're it's pretty cool. It's pretty dumb, but it's pretty
very
cool.
dumb. It's supposed to be dumb. I mean, the Viking one, the wraparound story is about how the characters who are outside of the anima, the animus, anima.
The Animus.
I think it's the Animus.
Animi.
They're tracking down ancient aliens. So that's where the story was when I was still playing them. So that was pretty wild. Also, I really like the Viking one because the kind of side mini game, this is kind of fucked up. I have to admit.
You have to go scalping missionaries.
You do, basically. The side mini game is you get your Viking crew together and you ride down a river, and there's sort of procedurally generated villages that you run up on and just gank. You kill everybody, and
so you go raiding. There's a raiding mini game.
You raid villages as Vikings. You pop out and you kill everybody and you take all their shit, and that's your loot. And you use the loot to build up your own village.
There's got to be a mod, right? There's got to be a mod out there to make you throw axes like the Vikings in that Merlin miniseries, where they just move on a straight track line out of your hand.
Those games are so glitchy. I would imagine you probably just do that anyway.
Oh yeah, no, that's a reference. We meant to make it that way.
Yeah. Oh, that was supposed to be that way. That shit's fucked up. That's pretty fucked up. You know what a cool mod would be? Speaking of anime, since that's supposedly what this show's about. A Vinland Saga skin of Assassin's Creed would be fucking so cool. That would be really fucking
Yes,
cool.
It would be cool. I don't see how that would work. I mean, obviously you would have to make essentially an entirely new set of character models and animations for those models to adapt the art style. Because from what I've seen of the existing architecture of the characters in the Viking Assassin's Creed, it'd be stretching a plastic mask over a hulking Hulk body.
Anyway, fucking Final Fantasy? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Real quick, I mean, what did you think of the open world stuff that they teased in that demo?
I'm really confused by it. I know I've been seeing people really, really into it. So I assume it must open up and be much more interesting when you have access to like the whole thing. And when you open up the overworld map, it is kind of exciting seeing that overworld that was just bad textures with some weird geometry that you just kind of wandered around and got into like very boring turn-based battles that you would fast forward through. Now becoming like a thing with many different avenues to explore. There's, all the chocobo stuff, right? You can ride these chocobos around, and there are specific chocobo mechanics. The chocobos sniff out treasure, so you can follow these like cartoony pie on the windowsill like smells that you like drift along until you find, I don't know, like a box full of potions or whatever.
Like The Witcher.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. There are specific like mini boss monsters that you can track down for Chadley, who is again in the game. He's made a return. The worst character in Final Fantasy history. He triggers my primal urge to bully. It's like,
well, it's the short pants and the knee socks, right?
Yes.
Like he looks like a little dweeb.
He has sock garters. There's something so wrong with that. That's kind of cool, though. There's different kinds of chocobos. Like, there's some that can fly for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, that almost makes sense because in the original release of the game, right? Like, chocobos, you had your three basic varieties. You had the regular one, walk on land. You had one that could, walk over mountains. And then you had the super fancy one that could walk on water, right?
Yes. They do not walk on water, though.
They do not walk on water anymore.
They squirt water down to the ground, propelling themselves upwards.
Where's the water coming from?
That's a very good question. It's up to your imagination.
This is raising more this is raising a lot of questions.
You have to answer those yourself, unfortunately. I don't think there's a lore entry about where the water comes from.
All right, I gotta ponder on this.
Yeah, you think about that. There's also unlockable chocobo armor, which made me laugh grimly to myself. We've wrapped around. I was thinking about that in terms of like horse armor. It brought me back to that very specific point in time.
We've wrapped around. It's like, oh, hey, this chocobo armor is only $10.
Yeah. I mean, in this one, I didn't see any, let's say, in-app purchases. But it did bring me back to a very specific point in time. And made me realize, man, we lost that battle so hard.
Oh, yeah, we got fleeced.
We lost. Completely and utterly.
And we knew it was going to end up that way,
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm cynical.
I really thought, at the time I thought it's good. Because everybody is out here shit-talking it, right? There was a big backlash when Horse Armor came out. And people were pretty much united in hatred of Horse Armor. But we have lost it. We got crushed there.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what the turning point was, and I think that as soon as the paying for the horse armor is obviously going to be a more controversial approach than, say, what like League or Dota kind of went into.
You mean hats?
Which is hats, yeah,
Yeah, hats.
You give them the option of grinding it out and then incentivize them with the option of doing it the easy way, right?
Yes.
If horse armor had been unlockable in the base game, but only by beating like an elder dragon god or whatever, or pay $10 to unlock it, I think that you would have seen far less of a backlash, and DLC would be even worse than it is today.
Yes, maybe. I think it's pretty bad today. I think we're seeing an extraordinarily bad version of it. I also think the thing that I didn't think of at the time was that, of course, we were already buying expansion packs.
I was just about to say that, but
yeah,
there was an expectation, right, with expansion packs that you were getting a significant add-on to to the overall game. It's not like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like, oh, expansion pack comes with, horse armor and this like exclusive item bundle, right? The way it is. Expansion packs are essentially more like the prestige DLCs that are coming out, like Blood and Wine for The Witcher. I personally, I think that the FromSoft DLC stuff, like those all have been like pretty worth it in my mind.
Sure.
I would say they add on a significant like level of gameplay that you can get out of it.
New campaigns. That was the standard that we were set, and that's because basically, like, Blizzard and stuff were putting out big fucking new campaigns for Diablo and StarCraft and stuff.
I think where we really started going downhill, I was obviously for Horse Armor, but also the map packs for Halo. Remember those? And COD?
Yes. Yeah, I remember map packs. I played so much fucking Halo 2. Of course, I remember map packs.
Once they started charging like $40 to get 3 new maps, I think that was... I did not like that at all.
Well, I knew that we had been so thoroughly crushed when just straight up openly gambling for children came out and there was no pushback, at least in our country, in America, the great Satan.
No, we saw it as a good thing. It was positive for the industry.
Yeah, not great. Anyway, the Final Fantasy thing, we're here on the eve. I'm excited to play it. We'll see how it goes. I'm apprehensive, but, I like the first one fine enough. I'm worried that, like, having to do a bunch of open world shit will, like, drag down the pace of the story so much that it'll get boring. But, we'll see. I'm excited to get Vincent. I mean, speaking of Valentine's Day, Vincent Valentine. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. You should play that Dirge of Cerberus game.
Fuck no. I'm never playing Dirge of Cerberus. You know what? Since we're talking about it, I actually played, and this is kind of funny. I played the Final Fantasy demo like everyone else because it was, that's the thing to do.
Yeah, I guess you have a PS5.
I got a PS5. Yeah.
I guess that's a cool thing for you.
It's pretty fucking cool, dude. It actually kicks ass.
Yeah, that must be great.
It's really great.
I love, I'm really happy for you. All right.
Super into it. I definitely had to put in a lot of legwork to get it, but it was worth it. It's worth it because I got to play Spider-Man. That's cool, I guess.
Is Spider-Man 2 or just the first one?
Spider-Man and the expansion pack, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2.
I don't think you can call that an expansion. I think that counts to just be its own game. It is its own game.
I think it's an expansion because it uses the same map. And also, I'm being a little uncharitable because I hate that Miles' dad is a cop.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
I hate that. But I played a different demo that I turned out to be way more excited about, called Unicorn Overlord.
Unicorn Overlord. All right, yeah.
Yeah. That's quite a title, right? Unicorn Overlord. Mixed messages.
What it makes me think of is early Newgrounds Flash game title, right?
You think so?
Yeah, that's like something that you would see on a Flash game repository website.
What is the Newgrounds version of Unicorn Overlord? What does that game look like?
Oh, man. Well, obviously, it looks like clip art. What do you call it? Those like paper dolls.
Flash animation?
Yeah. Oh, man. What was that DS game where it's like you drew something and then it would like come to life?
Drawn to life?
You would write a word and it would come to life?
You mean drawn to life?
I don't mean drawn to life.
You mean scribble knots?
I do mean scribble knots.
It was one of those two.
Yeah. That scribble knot style.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. But, with half-naked anime girls.
That game kicked so much ass. Holy shit. See, I would think it wouldn't be half-naked anime girls. It would be sort of like a really offensive, like, bad side-scrolling platformer game.
Like a Maple Story, but edgy?
Yeah, not even on the level of Maple Story. Like, so simple. Like, almost like stick figure fights, like that level.
Uh-huh.
Except there'd be, like, horrible fucking homophobic jokes in it. It would definitely be a little bit racist. Either that or just like a point and click porn adventure.
Oh man, you're making me feel nostalgic for the good old days of the internet.
I know. Back in the computer lab in middle school, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unicorn Overlord is not a homophobic Flash game. It is, in fact, a new Vanillaware game.
Vanillaware, I mean, I had heard of the various titles that these guys did. I wasn't familiar that they were all connected by one studio, but like they did Odin Sphere. I remember wanting to play that back in the day, and Grim Grimoire.
I was surprised how unfamiliar you were with the Vanillaware oeuvre. You know, Grim Grimoire, Odin Sphere, Muramasa, the Demon Blade, Dragon's Crown, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, and now Unicorn Overlord. Those are the ones that I played anyway. There's a few more, but I think one of them was like a PSP game, and I'm not fucking around with PSP shit. But I played the rest of those because, goddamn, I love Vanillaware. Huge Vanillaware stan. Love that shit.
Is it just the art style? Are you that? Is it just it's just because of the horny art?
It's 99% how horny the art is, 1% how good the fucking actual game is. That's the breakdown.
Dragon's Crown is probably the title that I'm most like recently familiar with because people were like, "Wow, have you seen the fucking character art for these characters when it came out?" And I, not as familiar with the rest of the studio's catalog, but Dragon's Crown in particular seems to be going to some pretty extreme places with how they design specifically their female characters.
Dragon's Crown, unfortunately, the extraordinary horniness of the art kind of overshadowed how good that game is. I felt a little sad about that because it is a very fun game. It is a gauntlet style 4 players like brawler game with absolutely fantastic level design and art, and there's like a bunch of different characters in the kind of the fantasy mode, but sort of that twisted version that shows up in a lot of like anime and manga stuff, sort of Lotus War style Japanese fantasy, which I really like, except it's obviously even a little bit more twisted because of the horniness.
I mean, the Amazon character in particular, I think, is the most out there. She has like Baki-esque angular muscle definition.
Yes. She's 7 feet tall and she has Baki style muscle definition. A bit of a curveball for George Kamitami, the main artist for Vanillaware. He usually draws kind of more either there's like 2 women he draws, either like the massive titty seductress or like kind of the smaller titty like cute girl. Those are sort of his two modes. Yeah, she was definitely kind of a new flavor for him. Unicorn Overlord is a little bit toned down. It's not as horny as those games, though, it still has its horniness in there.
It's not horny.
It's not horny. Unicorn Overlord blew me away immediately, though. Like, literally, it was a demo, and I played like 7 hours of it straight. I could not stop playing. It's essentially an evolution of Fire Emblem, right? In that it's got a similar game style, but also it is insanely anime as fuck. It is so fucking anime. You play as a deposed prince.
Of course. Classic.
Who's trying to reclaim his kingdom from an evil emperor. And you need to kind of spread out over these various like continents and build up your rebel army and like reclaim your territory. And you do that by like engaging in sort of like Fire Emblem style. It's not, here's the weird thing, because it's like semi-turn-based battles. You have units that you put together in your various fantasy ways. There's cavalry, there's footmen, there's kind of berserkers, there's big armored knight guys, and you mix them all together to create small units. At the beginning, you can only put 3 guys in one unit. Eventually, you can put 6 of them, and you deploy them on the map. And then there is a real-time component where you have to move them around the map, and you can pause whenever you want, but characters are constantly moving. And you get into these battles, and that's when it's sort of a Fire Emblem style, except instead of your characters just mushing together, auto battler style, like in Fire Emblem, or let's say Advanced Wars, if you're on that side.
Yeah, I did love Advance Wars, the first one way back in the day, but I never got more than halfway because it was too hard for me.
It gets pretty hard. I love those games too. I love Fire Emblem. But it's you're familiar with that kind of combat.
Yeah, yes.
In this one, you have that style of combat, but instead of your characters just mashing together, you assign them very intricate sets of moves that they will proceed to do automatically. Each move that your unit has a specific trigger, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like, there are moves that trigger automatically as soon as combat begins.
Okay.
There are moves that trigger automatically when a specific kind of unit attacks another specific kind of unit.
Yeah.
There are specific triggers that happen, like if your first move is this, then the next move will be this. And you set up these incredibly complex rule sets that battle for you in these fights. And that's on top of like a very deep, more traditional RPG system where your characters all have classes and stats. There are so many stats. How many fucking stats do you want? Because this is all the stats you could possibly need.
All right, let me try and think up some stats.
Sure.
Well, first of all, I want to point out that system you described, that's like basically that's gambits from Final Fantasy 12, right? Where you have situational triggers that you can set up, and as your characters get stronger, you have more programmable slots that open up for you to give them. To eventually near the end game, it's like you can really just set up the game to play itself once you get into an encounter.
Oh, and I did. That game played itself the entire way through for me.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that.
It is similar to that.
Okay, stats. They got, let me think here. Obviously, they have to have HPs, right? They got to have the hit points.
Oh, they've got HPs, baby.
They got MPs, the mana points.
You best believe it. Of course they got MPs.
Okay, what about equip load? They got weight?
They do not have weight, but they do have equipment slots.
Okay, well, sure. All right, they got elemental resistance?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's see here.
Types.
Electricity, air, water, fire, earth, darkness, holy, psychic.
Darkness and holy for sure. I'm not sure. I don't think anybody's psychic in this game. Not that I've encountered yet. I only played the demo. But you've got witches in here casting magic, various types of magic spells. You've got clerics. They're casting all kinds of shit. You've got fireballs. You've got poison. You've got rogues who you can equip with poison daggers. All that shit, you know?
I love that.
Oh, it's fucking great. It's fucking great.
You know, I want to bring up one thing that I just thought of about specifically like clerics as a class in these like JRPG generic fantasy settings.
Yeah.
And how they're almost universally like depicted as like they're obviously not wizards, right? But they're not like any specific like real world religion.
Yes.
They just kind of like they don't worship a god, they just use holy magic, right? And they work at a church, but like a church is just the place where the clerics hang out and do their holy magic.
Yes, they tend to be like ascetic monks, you know?
Yeah. I that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, they live in a cloister. They only descend from the mountain because of your like holy cause. Otherwise, they like deprive themselves of earthly pleasures.
A lot of the times, they're a stand-in for the fantasy town doctor, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
You know, a church is basically a hospital, a magic hospital.
Yes, I would say in the Dragon Quest style, they tend to be just straight up like doctors or like town healers or whatever. Yeah. In this one, there is a specific god who they all call the Father.
The Father.
Yeah, who seems to have a direct relationship with the planet. He is represented by like winged angel Valkyries who are just dudes in the world. They just fly around and they're like, hey, I represent the Father in earthly form, and I've got a relationship with that dude, and we're like totally chill.
Yeah, God is totally real, and his magical police just walk around keeping an eye on us.
They do. It's so fucked. It's so weird. But at the same time, you meet characters all the time that are like, fuck God. I don't give a shit about God. Hey, if you're real, why don't you come down and smite me? But it's like, he's obviously real. Like, look at all this shit. People are out here using holy power.
Think about it. If God is real, then that means he's just a guy, and that means there's a lot of shit that he doesn't have time for.
Oh,
right?
He's busy as hell. He's doing other shit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If God is real, then he's just like a guy. And I have no problem telling just a guy to fuck off.
Yeah, this is something that they sidestep a lot by using the pantheon style of gods. Because then you can be like, well, yeah, the gods aren't down here like intervening in life every day because they're having like weird petty infighting that they're dealing with all the time.
The Greek model.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're always like fucking with each other, so they don't have time to fuck with humans.
Which I also still don't understand, because it's like, who gave these people, control over these different aspects of whatever, right?
I think it was the Titans, right?
Well, sure, if we're going with the Greek model, obviously.
Yeah.
But who tightened the Titans? That's what I want to know. I don't know.
I guess the Big Bang, right? Something like that. I mean, right? It's like the sky opened up and everything was born.
I mean, the Titans and gods existed, but like science was there first.
First it was science, then science created gods, and then gods were defeated by science again. And eventually in the future, gods will defeat science, which brings us back to Final Fantasy, because that's what happens.
Wait, we were talking about Unicorn Overlord.
Oh, right. Yeah, Unicorn Overlord is insanely dope. It's fucking incredible. Like I said, it works on the Fire Emblem kind of base, but like I just described, it uses these insanely deep systems to kind of usurp Fire Emblem in cool ways. And like I said, again, it's not as horny as the other Vanillaware works, but there's stuff in there. I might have shown you this one before, but I'm gonna show you one of the characters' idol animations. This is a typical witch.
God damn, man.
That's just how she is. Can you describe her for the audience?
Well, what we have here is your classic tall hat, pointy witch, tall, pointy hat witch, and she seems to have lost her overclothes somewhere. She has on a black bra and loincloth, and black leggings held up by garters.
Thigh highs.
Yeah, thigh highs held up by garters. And stiletto heels.
And 8-inch stripper heels.
Yeah. Don't forget her witch's staff.
Yeah, of course, she has a bat staff. Can you explain what she's doing?
Well, her idol animation seems to be just kind of seductively wiggling her hips from side to side. And she's putting some real like oomph energy in there.
It's so arch. It's so vampy.
Yeah.
It's something you would expect from the Mistress of the Night, Elvira.
It reminds me a lot of the idol animation for the Sorceress from Dragon's Crown.
Yes.
Where she's kind of swaying side to side, and her massive breasts have their own momentum animation going counter to her movements.
Yes, I have to say, of all the massive titty anime girls, I kind of have the most affection for the Sorceress in Dragon's Crown, because it's sort of like, yeah, okay, fine, fine, whatever. They're so insanely exaggerated that you just have to shrug and go with it, right? And the lore suggests that she's actually cast a spell on herself to make her tits that big. Which is like, okay,
what?
Fine.
I mean, if you were a wizard, wouldn't you
Make my tits huge?
Yeah.
I guess I would. You're right.
I mean, here is the sorceress. Here's the sorceress animation. You just describe for me what's going on here.
Well, she's rocking back and forth on her heels and giving us sort of a little bit of a bemused look underneath her pointy hat. And her beach ball sized tits, which are only held up slightly by two doilies that she has glued on.
I mean, we can safely assume that they're held up by magic.
They could only be held up by magic. There is no physical way to attach them to her pendulous breasts.
Pendulonic, hypnotic kind of undulations.
Yes, and man, you can jump in that game.
Oh yeah, you can jump.
You can just imagine what's going down in Dragon's Crown.
Oh dear listener, if you could just imagine that.
Yeah, you just imagine that. It's funny about the Vanillaware stuff. Like I mentioned, George Kamitami, the head artist and designer at Vanillaware, is so extraordinarily talented that he is one of the only people out there that I really can just straight up forgive for doing this shit. He is just supernaturally gifted at what he does. So when he's like, yeah, I'm just going to be straight up horny here. In cases where I would usually put someone down for that, I can't bring myself to condemn Kamitami. I just think it's like, oh, you silly.
The final versions of...
You silly horny man.
The final versions of these characters that end up in Dragon's Crown don't even do the concept art justice.
No, you have to see him in motion. You really have to see him in motion. 4K. Every piece of art in his games is just the best shit you have ever seen. It hits me so fucking hard. I love these games. I'm extraordinarily excited. It's just funny that it hits at the same time as this Final Fantasy thing because it's another Japanese RPG coming out. And I've just out of nowhere, I am more excited about that one than Final Fantasy VII.
I thought you liked the remake.
I did.
Yeah?
No, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I like it better than the original. A lot better.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You were just saying that you're not as excited for Rebirth.
Yeah. No, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it immediately. I would be a huge hypocrite if I said I'm not excited for it. But man, Vanillaware it's just such my shit. Go check it out. Just do yourself a favor and just I don't know. Go look at some videos of Vanillaware games. Just check it out. Or hey,
decide for yourself if you want to be caught playing these games.
Yes, decide for yourself. I have the George Kamitami art book somewhere, and even just that, just seeing his concept art and doodles and stuff is just it's so good. Okay, let's take a break. That's enough anime for now. We'll come back and I don't know. We'll talk about anime or something.
All right. Sounds good.
Guys, we talked about what people are buzzing in the video game world. Everyone's buzzing about Final Fantasy games, JRPGs, POW World.
It feels a little, and I'm sure I'm going to ruffle some feathers by saying this. It feels a little un-American to me.
Wow. Throwing a little bit of jingoism, a little bit of protectionism into it, but that is not in the spirit of anime. A little bit of ethno-nationalism and protectionism. But let's talk about a little bit of cross-cultural exchange, breaking down those nationalist walls, right? Let's talk about the ball joint between American comics and Japanese comics. Marvel and DC. Wow. We were thinking about that Suicide Squad isekai.
Because we're so excited for it to come out.
I mean, I don't know if you had been thinking about it ambiently, but I kind of was because I did recently read an isekai. Oh, did I tell you I was reading an isekai?
Oh, God.
I know.
Which one?
I wrote it down here. It's called Killer Shark in Another World. This is about a girl in a fantasy world where people summon creatures from other worlds, that trope. And all the students at this school summon their own personal creature to like battle the demon lord with.
Sure.
And she summons Baby Shark. That's the only thing she sucks at summoning, and it's like her last desperate attempt to summon something before she gets kicked out of school.
So she summons a cutesy little shark.
She summons Left Shark. And she's like, this is fucking useless. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? And here's a left turn. This is a little weird. It kind of gives you the tone for the rest of the comic. The shark sees students making out with their creatures because most of the creatures are, like succubi or hot cat lady or all that shit, that kind of thing.
That took a weird turn.
It took a weird turn, I know. But here's the weirder turn. It immediately has a viscerally hateful reaction to what it calls normies. It has its own thought bubble, and it goes, normies!
So she summons an incel shark.
She summons an incel shark, and upon reaching its own rage meter, it turns into a massive three-headed sharktopus, and it kills and eats her entire class.
Cool.
Yeah, and she's terrified of it. And she tries to run away from it, but it won't stop following her around because it loves her.
Okay, so it's an extremist variation of the my lame power is actually the strongest power genre.
Yeah, sort of, except she has zero control and she's terrified of it, and she constantly is trying to convince it not to eat everything it sees.
You know what that is?
What?
That's Spawn. Or not Spawn, Venom. That's Venom.
Yeah, kinda. They reach a sort of synthesis, though. A symbiotic relationship, if you will.
Oh, God.
The shark never really reaches any kind of symbiosis with the summoner. She's just kind of constantly living in fear that it will eat her.
And that's just the whole comic?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's very funny and very cool.
It has some good jokes. I will. It's a little bit cringe sometimes, but it has a couple of good jokes because she keeps blundering around, and at every turn she is like met with terrible luck, or she stumbles into like the army of the demon lord, and she's like, please don't make the shark mad. I'm begging you, please. And they ignore it because it's Baby Shark, right? And then it transforms into a three-headed sharktopus, and it kills and eats everything within like a mile radius.
That's cool.
It's sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not cool. I don't know. It's a weird comic.
All right.
Anyway, so it had me thinking about isekai, and of course my mind turned to the Suicide Squad isekai because Suicide Squad so hot right now.
Oh, it's the hottest property that DC has going for him.
It's so hot right now. Warner Brothers has killed basically everything in its entire catalog except Suicide Squad.
Well, that Harley Quinn is America's waifu.
Jesus Christ. God damn it. I hate that word so much.
I mean, yeah, Harley Quinn is a lot of people's Oshi,
I know.
Real big cultural impact out there.
I know. It's wild. It really is wild how much of a cultural force Harley Quinn is. I didn't see it coming as a kid, I'll tell you that.
I did. I totally saw that coming as a kid.
You did?
As soon as Harley Quinn made the successful jump from, and I say this, with no amount of love whatsoever. Harley Quinn is like,
wait, no love?
No, zero love.
Zero love. Zero love for Harley Quinn from Batman the Animated Series.
Well, it is Bruce Timm's. I gotta say it again. It's his personal waifu, and explicitly so.
It's his Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is. We talked about it before. Artists are massive perverts.
They're all perverts.
They become artists because they have to create their specific thing to get off to.
Yep.
And that was Harley Quinn for Bruce Timm.
No one would want to live the life of an artist unless there was a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And that reason is realizing their own personal sexual fantasies.
That is exactly what's going on here. He said, I want the Joker to be a girl that I can fuck.
Hey, and I just want to say, that sounds derogatory. I don't want it to be derogatory. Some of the greatest works of art ever have come from this exact phenomenon. I was just talking about George Kamitami. He's the most dedicated pervert in all of video games, and he creates stunning works of art.
You better not hear Yoko Taro say that. He doesn't need competition in that regard.
I'm telling you, you could find. I wouldn't even put Yoko Taro in like the top 5, but I don't want to hash that out. I want to talk about Suicide Squad Isekai.
Yeah. Well, it's not out yet. What's up with that? That's what I want to know.
I know.
I've been hearing about this thing for like a year now.
I would put it out right now when Suicide Squad is so hot. It's been riding off the success of the reboot movie.
The Suicide Squad featuring James Gunn.
The Suicide Squad featuring Pete Davidson from SNL fame.
Gotta love that. Gotta love Skeet.
Gotta love that. Yep. Obviously, the Peacemaker spin-off. The Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, and most recently the big fucking video game that came out that I think surprised a lot of people in that it wasn't as terrible as they expected.
I mean, that's not a good bar to be clearing. Like, you don't want your game described as it wasn't as bad as people thought it was going to be. That's not a good foot to start on.
You know, that's a lot of video games right now, though, right? I feel like that's where we are with the video game market right now, is most people going, oh, you should play this game. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
That's not a bad sign for the industry overall, I don't think.
No. Jesus Christ. Anyway, it had me thinking about Marvel and DC anime, because, this is far from the first
Oh, absolutely.
DC anime.
There's a long tradition of crossover from American superhero comics, bleeding into anime and manga adaptations.
Yeah. And let's say it's a checkered history at best.
I mean, there's a lot of bad. There's some good that came out of it.
A lot of bad. I remember specifically getting very excited because of that fucking Batman Ninja, right? That people hyped that shit up a lot, and then it turned out to be pretty bad.
You were excited about that one?
Yeah, I was excited about that. I thought that was cool. I thought oh, cool, like a really cool anime style Batman would be great. And you know why? Because I watched the fucking Gotham Knights anime back in, I don't know, what was it?
2006?
Fucking 2006? No, I think 2007 or 8.
Around then, when the Nolans were in vogue.
Yes, when Nolan was really blowing it up. And I just want to, this is a fucking rogues gallery, but I want to run down the participants in the Gotham Knights spinoff, right? Yeah, Boston Blackie, am I right? That sounds so bad out of context. Yeah,
don't say that again.
He's an old-timey radio detective. I'm not going to get into it. He was literally a precursor to Batman. Anyway, Gotham Knights was a anthology series, a bunch of shorts about Batman or surrounding Batman's world. And just check this shit out, man. I mean, we had shorts done by Studio 4C and Shinjiro Nishimi from Tekken King Crete fame.
Hell yeah.
We had one by Production IG, directed by Fugoshi Higashide. We had Studio B Train, directed by Hiroshi Morioka. Studio B Train is an interesting one because I don't think they've made anything actually since this. But they were a spinoff of IG. They made stuff like the Halo Legends anime. Remember that?
I sincerely don't.
They made Tsubasa Chronicles. They made a couple of the dot hack sign animes, including the original one.
Okay, now we're talking. I know that.
Yeah, dot hack sign was huge for a while. They made a Blade of the Immortals anime that I never got around to watching, but I'm very, very curious about. I'm not gonna watch the Halo anime.
Yeah,
but I thought that was interesting. Interesting inclusion. Studio Madhouse made one. That was Yasuhiro Aoki. Studio 4C again. That was a different guy. That was Toshioki Kubooka, who just notably made the Berserk movies a little bit later. that I really like. I know those are controversial, but I really like those movies. And another Madhouse one, directed by Jung Sik Nam and Yoshiaki Kawajiri, who of course worked on Vampire D, Bloodlust, and Ninja Scroll, very famously.
That's a stacked cast. That's a stacked production team.
I know. Yeah, this is, I don't know, at this point in history, this is a mind-boggling lineup. And they came together for Batman?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
what?
It kind of makes sense to me. I don't know why they were trying to court the anime demographic, right?
Yeah, what's up with that? What the fuck?
Because, like, I'm looking at this, and each of the individual stories inside Batman Gotham Knight was written by, like, we have a David S. Goyer script in here.
Oh, boy.
Brian
Ooh.
Azzarello, who was big in comics at the time.
Yeah.
Alan
Brian,
Burnett.
of course.
So it was like they're the top names in comic writing and script writing surrounding the Batman franchise, top animators coming together to court weebs into seeing the next Batman movie.
Yeah. This is the weirdest. I honestly think this is one of the weirdest animation projects that has ever existed. Not only because this is the most stacked fucking thing in animation history, just in terms of raw talent and output, but also because it basically doesn't exist anymore. It has disappeared from like people's minds and from the internet in general.
Well, you know, not too long ago, they did those Star Wars animated segments that we talked about, but those weren't all anime.
I really like those. Well, not all of them, but I liked a lot of them.
I mean, obviously the Studio Trigger one was the standout.
The Trigger one is great. You know what? Actually, no, I think there's a couple of stop motion ones by studios I'd never heard of that were maybe even better. I thought they were really good.
Of the Star Wars, stop motion Star Wars?
Yeah, stop motion Star Wars, dude.
See, that's dope.
You should watch those.
Yeah.
It's dope as hell. And just as a quick side note, Pokemon Concierge Season 2, that confirmed. So
Hell yeah.
more of that shit, which was very good. Yeah, so honestly, if I hadn't just randomly stumbled upon this thing, I don't know if I would even be aware of its existence.
I mean, I remember they were pushing Batman pretty hard around the time the Dark Knight premiered, right? And that's when they were trying to kind of do this cultural, nerd cultural push.
Yes.
To try and
Comic
draw...
books aren't just for babies anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's like the third phase of that particular movement, right? That goes all the way back to Frank Miller and Dark Knight Returns.
But in mainstream culture, The Dark Knight was like the moment where people were like, comic books are actually serious fucking business. Remember?
I remember.
The goddamn IMAX fucking... I was going to say demo.
Hey, did you see that new IMAX demo?
That IMAX demo. The IMAX, the pre-screening IMAX trailer, like teaser thing for Dark Knight. People were buying tickets for that shit for movies they weren't even going to see just to watch the trailer for The Dark Knight.
I mean, I wonder.
That was serious fucking business.
I wonder, like, I have to go back and look at the numbers because Batman Begins was when Nolan, entered the franchise, and that must have really blown people's minds at the time.
It did. Oh, it did.
And I always regretted that Nolan moved away from the very stylistic version of Gotham he had created in that one, and just like, Gotham is it's just Manhattan now, but like the cool looking parts, not the dirty parts. If you go back and watch Batman Begins, it's like there's some very cool world building stuff to the sets in there. Like the slums in Gotham are these weird, broken down, like multi-level shanty towns. It was very cool. I liked it. And then we transitioned to The Dark Knight, and it's all super sleek, modern, like downtown Chicago and Manhattan shots.
Yes, I think maybe his interests strayed away from world building and it became a character piece, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people forget because of obviously Heath Ledger Joker, but like also the Aaron Eckhart Two-Face. I mean, this thing was about characters.
Yes.
It was about internalities.
People have described it in looking back as like, I don't know, a Scorsese-esque, right? It feels like a mob movie more than anything else.
Yes, the most ridiculous fucking mob movie ever made.
Yeah. The Godfather, but interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to relitigate Dark Knight because I do like that movie, but man, the moral dilemmas that Batman faces is like some of the stupidest shit I have ever seen in a fucking movie.
This is the cognitive level that and I know Christopher Nolan like is a smart guy. I can't believe that he is a dumb man, but I think that Christopher Nolan thinks that Batman is fundamentally dumb and is for dumb people, and he's not wrong.
I think Batman himself, I think Bruce Wayne is a dumb guy. I think he is a dumb guy.
No, he's not a dumb guy. He's a scientist.
He's a scientist, not in those movies. He's straight up a dumb guy. Okay, anyway, so we're straying too far.
Yeah.
We're straying too far from anime. My point being...
case in point.
My point being that one of the, I guess, in my opinion, if I have to fucking preface this with ass covering, in my opinion, Batman has the greatest animated movie of all time.
Really?
Well, based on a comic book.
Now, are you not counting manga amongst what counts as comic books?
Well, they were rapidly exiting the scope of this conversation.
Yeah.
American comics, shall we say.
Sure,
we don't
sure.
Need to
I get
split
you.
hairs.
I get you. I just wanted to point out.
You understand.
Yeah.
You just want to rankle me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So best.
No, I know.
Best animated film based off of an American superhero franchise.
Best animated anything based on an American franchise.
Better than Spider-Verse?
Well, that's not anime.
Oh, okay. All right. I see. All right.
What? You know what, though? If you want to throw down like that, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, how do you defend that one?
Go watch these shorts. They're fucking incredible. And they don't have the handicap of being in 3D.
All right. You enjoyed Batman Gotham Knight. I get it. You like the animation.
Shit. I mean, the first short alone. Anyway, the point being, I mean, as you move further away from Gotham Knight, you end up with stuff like I don't know, the Iron Man anime, or the Wolverine anime, or the Blade anime, and let's say they fall a little short of Batman Gotham Knight.
Those were very targeted efforts by Marvel of trying to penetrate into the anime sphere, right? That wasn't like a Japanese studio was like, oh yeah, I can't believe we finally got the rights to do an X-Men anime.
Sure.
That was Marvel coming to them and saying like, hey, can you do anything with this? Like, we obviously can't do anything with our own shit, so maybe you can
figure this out. We cannot figure this out. Who made those? Who was mercenary enough that they picked up that shit?
So let's see. The Iron Man series was animated by Madhouse. So Madhouse did the Iron Man series and the spin-off Wolverine series, which, I have to point out, because when we were looking up the various art styles for these adaptations, that one stood out the most to me, because Wolverine, just from memory, can you describe what Wolverine looks like to me?
When you say Wolverine, I don't know if this is me personally, maybe this is just like a weird thing in my brain, but I immediately go to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Wolverine. He seems to be the canonical Wolverine in my brain. So we're talking about a little guy, and he's also, like, hunched down, so he's even littler. He's kind of, like, crouched in a very aggressive pose. He's chunky as hell, like, almost round. He's stubbly. He's got sort of dead eyes.
Like a doll's eyes.
Yeah. He's got his claws out, and they look gross. There's, like, a grime to him, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And he's in the classic yellow and black striped Wolverine costume.
Gotcha.
That's what I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty on point.
Yeah.
And so I've sent you a couple pictures here. Describe Marvel's anime The Wolverine to me.
Now, this is in sort of a pseudo 80s style animation. So we're talking about
It's
very long faces.
Yeah, it's
right?
vaguely reminiscent of like a Ninja Scroll or early Fist of the North Star style.
Yes. And he has swept back brown anime hair with the little fold over pieces.
He's got like a solid snake mullet is what he has going on.
He has a very long spiky mullet on top of that, which makes no sense with the rest of his hair. It seems physically impossible. And then he has almost like British colonial adventurer sideburns that wrap towards the bridge of his nose almost instead of to the chin, and he's completely shaved below that, so it doesn't look like that's natural. It looks like he has intentionally shaped them that way, which is even more baffling. He's tall. He has a pretty boy look. He mostly wears a black tank top in the anime. Now, I should reveal, I have watched a couple episodes of this.
Oh, really? You have?
I have, yeah. He does not wear his suit ever. And he's more of a standoffish kind of emo guy than he is like, hey, bub, cigar smoking guy in the anime.
Yeah, not a single cigar in sight here.
No cigars.
No cigars, no yellow suit.
No bubs.
No mutton chops. I don't know what those things on his face are, but they're not mutton chops.
They're fucked up. All I can say is that. They are fucked up.
Now, I should point out that there are actually two separate attempts at an X-Men themed anime series, right? And so there's the Iron Man series and then the spin-off Wolverine one that we just talked about.
Yeah.
But there was a second attempt at an X-Men series later on, and I think they actually got Wolverine at least a little bit better in that one.
I am not aware of that one.
Yes, you can see here he does have at least more of a matured facial hair thing going on.
That is much close. Yes, he has hair antenna. He has classic anime hair antenna that droop over his face for some reason. But he does look much more like an actual Wolverine-ish type character. He's not hunched over.
No, he's still a little too tall. A little too tall.
He's still too tall. I don't know who that is next to him. Do you have even a guess as to who that's supposed to be?
Oh man,
I can't even guess. I see Emma Frost.
I'm going to
Storm
take a guess and say that's probably Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat,
with the Shinto shrine maiden hair.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. I have no idea. Okay, so I just found another promotional shot of this anime featuring this character. And she has like what seems to be force field armor powers, like Green Lantern powers.
She has an energy mech.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that?
Like a bubble of energy encasing her body that she can shape.
I'm starting to think this is a original character do not steal situation.
This is the anime character that they introduced for the team?
I think so. Man, why did they give Cyclops pauldrons?
I mean, you got to protect your shoulders.
Oh, yeah. That's his big weak spot, right?
Well, no, actually, the real reason is because people don't talk about it, but shoulder pads, like 80s style shoulder pads for suits, still big in Japan. They're top heavy over there.
Usually they're in suit jackets, not exposed like that, but sure, yeah.
I mean, it goes all the way back to Dragon Ball Z in the Saiyan armor, right? Come on, you can see the connection there.
Yeah, he does have a bit of a Saiyan look to him, I suppose. Needless to say, this is a less handsome show or adaptation, let's say.
Who did this one? This feels like a Studio IG style kind of thing.
I think this one is pretty unfortunate. I have to to be completely honest.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all.
It looks pretty bad. It does not look good.
Yeah, I don't know who did that one. They don't even list it.
Yeah.
I'd have my name taken off of it too. What else we got? There's got to be something that is more adapted to the anime style than these weak attempts. Come on.
I wanted to say, these anime, not quite as successful there, but I do know of when they did comic book to manga. I mean, this seems kind of like a no-brainer, but they do have a higher hit rate, I think, in the comic book to manga adaptation game. You know, we have some pretty great ideas too. I don't know what it is about like DC and Marvel like letting manga artists like off the leash more than their own in-house guys.
I mean, you have to remember that before the success of the cinematic universes, the CUs, if you will.
Yeah, they were flailing around for concepts.
Basically, you know, before the Disney buyout, they were on their way down. The only reason Disney even gave them the time of day was because Iron Man did so well, right?
Yeah.
No one saw that Ed Norton Hulk movie.
That was a fucking Hail Mary for sure.
Yeah. And before that, you know, comics have been on a downward spiral in America since the bubble burst, like the collection bubble burst in the 90s. So I believe it. I believe that they were like, yeah, as long as you give us a cut, do whatever. Who gives a shit what happens in Japan?
Yeah, hey, fuck it, you know. I think that there is interesting stuff happening in the manga, like DC Marvel space that cannot happen in America for whatever reason. Can I just tell you about like a couple of these that I know about? Okay, so there's a Superman manga, right? I mean, there's more than one, but there is one, and it's fairly recent. It's called Superman versus Meshi. Superman no Hitori Meshi, right? This is a Superman. What was that show that you hated? That was about the guy who just went to different restaurants and bitched about the other people.
Oh, that was the Solitary Gourmet. Yeah.
This is the Solitary Gourmet, almost the exact same plot, except it's Superman instead of that little creep.
Superman versus Eating Alone. Is that what it's called?
Yes. He just wanders Japan, I assume, and he eats various like conveyor belt sushi or curries or like ramens or whatever, you know, and then I guess occasionally he has to like fly off and join the Justice League and whatever the fuck they're doing. But he's just, you know, he's just going around reviewing various indie food market stores.
I mean, honestly, that sounds incredibly appealing to me, more so than any Superman comic.
I know. When's the last time you got excited about a Superman book?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so outside of the Solitary Gourmet, which is a huge hit on television in Japan,
inexplicably to me,
just the eating, like the Food Diary style comic show, whatever, is an incredibly loved genre just of content over there.
Oh, you see a million of them. You see a million of them.
Basically, 1 in 3 things created as content over there is just a dude going to a restaurant and eating shit and then probably complaining about it.
Yes, and complaining about it. Or sharing it with their hot anime girl who just lives with them inexplicably.
I mean, the other version is they go to the restaurant and eat and then like tell a story about their life that is somehow thematically connected to the food.
It's probably the single most popular style of spin-off.
Yeah.
Of all popular anime or manga series. I think in particular, I'm thinking of like the Fate version, which is just the cast of Fate's Day Night, the original arc, just shopping for food. They go to different supermarkets and they just talk about what they want for dinner that night. And so they go to between the aisles and pick out ingredients and talk about the ingredients. And that's the whole thing.
I think there's a Full Metal Panic spinoff like that too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, let me pitch you another one.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite. I have no fucking clue how this came about, right? But this one's called Joker, One Operation Joker. Joker, One Operation Joker. This one's kind of become notorious. This is about Batman accidentally de-aging. He somehow
He gets Benjamin buttoned.
He gets Benjamin buttoned into a baby, and Joker is stoked, right? Because he's like, I could kill a baby. But when confronted with...
That seems within my wheelhouse.
I could probably do that.
I have the ability to kill at least one baby.
Yeah. But when the time comes for him to slay a child, a small baby, innocent child, he can't do it. He can't bring himself to do it. Instead, he is overwhelmed by the cuteness of Bruce Wayne's babiness. And so he takes it upon himself to raise his arch nemesis back into a crime-fighting man. We have various encounters like Joker trying to feed baby Batman in public and getting annoyed that people are giving him strange looks. We have him trying to enroll baby Batman in kindergarten. We have baby Batman in a baby Bjorn.
Okay.
It's pretty wild.
So my biggest question here then, because I guess if you think about it, there's no reason for the Joker to assume that Batman's parents are dead. And so essentially, right?
You don't think so? You don't think he knows?
Do you think he knows?
I think Joker is at least ambiently aware that a guy like Bruce Wayne doesn't have parents. Yeah, I think he kind of knows.
Well, the Joker doesn't know Batman is Bruce Wayne, though. That's a secret.
Okay, well, let's say in this universe he definitely does.
Okay, okay. Even starting from there, in that case, he has to realize that Batman's parents die then to make him Batman. You can't raise Batman back into being Batman. Like, you need a dead parent.
What if baby Batman has locked-in syndrome? Like Diving Bell and the Butterfly? And he's completely aware of himself. He's conscious of it, but it's buried deep inside baby version, and all he can really do is, like, watch in horror as this unfolds.
The implications of everything you're setting up here are absolutely horrifying to consider.
Oh, they're deeply disturbing.
So, I mean, does Batman grow to like his foster Joker parent?
I mean, doesn't Batman kind of like the Joker? I'm thinking back to Killing Joke. You know, the conclusion we reach at the end of Killing Joke, isn't that they kind of love each other, they're in love with each other? Isn't that what Killing Joke is about?
I thought Killing Joke was about how cool the Joker is and libertarianism or something. I don't know. I only know about the Joker from Twitter.
Who knows? Maybe. I mean, hey, look, we can all have different reads.
Listen, I don't care what Alan Moore says. The Killing Joke is about libertarianism.
To me, the Killing Joke is about how much Batman and the Joker love each other and want to be with each other forever.
All right, let's switch gears here. We've talked about Batman to death at this point, but there's got to be some other like mainstream American figures that have penetrated into the anime space, right?
Oh, sure, of course. Well, obviously the biggest one is Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's huge over there. They love him.
Spider-Man is huge. There's multiple Spider-Man manga.
Not just that, like there's the whole Spider-Man Sentai show from television in the 70s.
Yes.
Which if you ever watched any of those episodes, they are hilarious.
Not quite Italian Spider-Man, but Japanese Spider-Man is still good.
And it goes full on like Ultraman. Like he turns into a giant Spider-Man multiple times to fight kaiju, like destroying the city.
Yes. Now, it's interesting that they have to be big. in the Japanese Spider-Man, because I mean, American Spider-Man, he fights monsters all the time, but they never get that big.
They get that big sometimes, not all the time though.
Who gets that big? Because I mean, he fights
Galactus.
He fights Killer Croc all the time, and Killer Croc is basically a kaiju. He's just small.
He's a small kaiju. Is that what you're saying?
He's a very small kaiju.
Okay, then what about Galactus? Galactus is very big. He's bigger than the planet.
I mean, I don't want to get into comic book stuff, but I don't consider Galactus...
I think it's a little too late for that.
I don't think Galactus is one of the Spider-Man villains. I don't really count him. I think of Doc Ock, I think of Killer Croc, I think of Electro.
The
Rhino, for sure. Scorpion.
Rhino is a mech suit in that Spider-Man game.
Yeah, him and Scorpion actually kind of like fused into their suits, which is horrifying to think about.
Yeah, I don't like that.
He can't actually take it off, which is, I don't know, that's really fucked.
There was that 60s Spider-Man manga. That's where the real popularity started, which, I just want to take a quick aside here to talk about that Spider-Man manga cover that we found when we were looking up here.
Yes. Yeah, this is my favorite Spider-Man drawing ever, maybe, because of how uncomfortable it makes me.
Just please tell the people about it.
So, Spider-Man the manga, and I believe, if I remember correctly, this is mid-90s, maybe 95, is an official Marvel release in Japan. I think it literally is just called Spider-Man the manga.
Yes, that is correct.
Now, the original issue cover is Spider-Man, of course, standing, facing the camera. He's holding a rose for some reason. And instead of the traditional kind of like Spider-Man suit where it's, he's got a little bit of a muscle, but it's mostly like smooth, right? Everything's pretty smooth. You don't see a lot of definition. This one is basically painted on. You can see every wrinkle, every ripple of the human body is represented. We see the contours of his nose, his mouth, his chin. They're all raised through the mask. His nipples show through this costume.
His spider bites.
You could clearly see his cum gutters.
Oh, God.
You could see his dick in this costume, and not like you can kind of tell. It's just there in your fucking face. Now, you pointed out this is essentially Spider-Man in the David pose, the famous sculpture.
I mean, it's not essentially that. It is a tracing of the statue of David with the Spider-Man textured on to the surface, like a video game.
Yeah, like somebody painted the suit onto the statue of David, which is fucking hilarious. Somebody please do that. Do that in real life.
You know what? I think that in this day and age, we really need to bring back art crimes, famous paintings and shit were always getting stolen and recreated and smuggled in the 1900s, 1850s, whatever. We need to go back to that. That shit's cool.
Oh, I was thinking defamation.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's part of it. That's part of it.
Yeah, just a really hard disfigurement of public arts, which I think is making a big comeback.
Going back to this Spider-Man cover here, I think the worst part of it for me is the definition on his facial features.
Yes, it's horrifying.
Because if I'm looking at this correctly, it looks as if the costume actually is a texture applied directly to his skin and therefore curves up into his nasal passages.
Yes, it does.
Like he just has this painted onto his face.
Yeah.
We're not exaggerating there.
It's fucking horrifying. Go look up the 1995 Spider-Man the manga and look at the cover. It's great. It's fantastic. Equally horrifying, I'll just say this just because it's on topic. Equally horrifying is the other Spider-Man manga I want to point out. This one is called Spider-Man Octo Girl. Now, I wonder what does that conjure when you think of Spider-Man Octo Girl? Just that title.
Well, right off the top of my head, it makes me think that it obviously has something to do with Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, it would be weird if it didn't.
And a girl.
And a girl.
So I'm assuming since this is a manga, it's probably a schoolgirl of some kind. And so maybe Dr. Octopus's daughter? Is that what we're talking about here?
That would be interesting if Doc Ock had managed to procreate before. I think his wife died of like cancer or something.
Something like his wife died of being married to Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, I mean, that is a bummer, just straight up. It's basically the same reason Harry Osborn's mom died.
Because she needed to die for the story to happen. That's why.
Yeah. And also being married to that dude is such a fucking bummer. Norm.
Well, I mean, I'd die too if I was married to Willem Dafoe.
Norm Osborn. What a fucking asshole.
Norm.
No, yeah, that's how I see it play out in my mind. Unfortunately, no. Spider-Man Octo Girl by the creators of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, the Boku Hero Academia spin-off.
Boku Vigi, yeah.
Yeah, is about... Now, this was something we described as isekai adjacent, the de-aging genre. Dr. Octopus essentially falls into a coma because Spider-Man punches him so hard that he wakes up in the body of a middle school girl in Japan.
I don't like that at all.
Now we have Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, is now a Japanese middle schooler.
Sorry, it's just a very stupid name.
Otto Octavius.
Yeah.
Marvel does... I think Marvel has better names than DC. Just in general, the alliteration and all that shit. I think it's better for comics than the DC approach.
Sure.
This is unacceptable. You can't do this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to call the cops.
It raises a lot of questions that maybe they cover in the comic, but like, okay, so Dr. Octopus is now a Japanese schoolgirl.
Yes.
Does Spider-Man know this? Does he fight the little girl? Does she have a life previous to being possessed by Dr. Octopus? Does he have to pretend to be a little girl?
The hook is so strong, you already have to know. You're desperate to read this. Now, the cover is the only thing I can go off of, but it does show that little girl Otto Octavius, first of all, does have a little Gigi companion, because of course he does. He, she. How do we pronoun high school girl Otto? Yet another mystery.
Oh, I don't want to get into the implications of that.
Yet another mystery of this comic. But we do see her little traditional roll top Japanese schoolgirl backpack has the Octavius traditional Doc Ock robot arms coming out.
Okay.
So I have to imagine she is up to they are up to some traditional Doc Ock shenanigans at some point. Because it is a manga, I do have to assume they are stopping crime because, it's one of those twists like that. But there is clearly some shit going down.
Let me put it this way. If this is a comic that shows Spider-Man punching an 8-year-old girl, it is automatically the greatest work of Spider-Man fiction that's ever been created.
I absolutely agree 100%. If we see Spider-Man beating up a middle school girl, this is the best thing ever made.
And I say that I love Spider-Verse. I love both of those movies. I liked the PS4 game that we were talking about, but it did not let me punch little children as Spider-Man.
Yes. We don't have to install any mods, just straight to little girl punching. And let me be clear. In the comic book. Just want to be clear about that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. That is anime Marvel, anime DC. Unfortunately, it seems like maybe the only good thing that has ever come out of this collaboration is Gotham Knights.
Possibly Spider-Man punching a little girl.
Either Spider-Man punching a little girl or the incredible Gotham Knights lineup. Runner up, I would give to, obviously, Joker, one Operation Joker, because being a single dad is hard, especially if you're a supervillain.
Man, that's the story that Christopher Nolan should have adapted. I'd watch the hell out of a 3-hour-long, super serious Oppenheimer-style movie about the Joker raising a baby Batman to grow up and be Batman.
A gritty meditation on single fatherhood.
On fatherhood and masculinity.
Yeah, yes.
But about the Joker and a tiny Bruce Wayne.
And a tiny baby Batman. Yes. I'm not a hater of Christopher Nolan like a lot of people are these days. But I do not think he has the chops to pull that off.
No. You have he has a fundamental level of professional respect that he has to maintain in the world, and any misstep on his part in the process of making that particular story would be instant doom for him forever.
Oh, it would devastate his career.
So I don't blame him for not being the innovative genius that people make him out to be. But he could start taking steps in the right direction by making this story. That's all I want to say. That's it. Thank you.
We don't have to get into it. Just really quick, I would nominate Sean Baker, the director of the Florida Project. I think he would do it justice.
Oh, yeah.
I think he would really knock it out of the park.
People would finally get that Willem Dafoe Joker they've been wanting.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You could finally stop fan casting him. He would get the fucking job done. And Joker would win a third fucking Oscar.
Oh, shit.
Think about that.
Oh, we can go 3 for 3, people.
3 for 3, people. Because Leto's never gonna pull it off.
He's never getting back in there.
He's never gonna pull it off.
No matter how many dead rats he mails out.
Exactly. Okay, people. That's your anime for the week.
We sincerely apologize.
Yes, I'm so sorry. The only manga I can recommend you besides One Operation Joker is the George Kamitami art book. I think that is legitimately spectacular. Next time I'll try to give you something else. Don't read Killer Shark in Another World. I know maybe a couple pages, but that's all you need. Next week I'll give you something legitimate to read. How about that? I'll make that promise to you.
All right, sounds good. I've got something I'm cooking up for next week. So stay tuned. Stay tuned,
okay,
people.
Good. We might actually have a good episode next week. I'm not promising anything though.
It is our 1 year milestone coming up, so it would be good to get at least one in there. One good one.
We'll finally have one good episode. That would be great. It took a year of practice, but we're finally going to deliver.
All right.
Okay. All
Go
right.
check us out on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. We post the TikToks there occasionally.
Yeah. Check out Blue Sky if you can get in. It's actually open registration now, so people can get in.
Oh, so it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's not cool anymore. It's for losers. But hey, go on there and follow us. It would be nice.
All right.
Beautiful and handsome listeners. Anime, I guess, right?
Yeah. Bye.
To the point where he's like catfishing his own wife.